All right, guys, welcome to the Sales Psychology Masterclass. This is Kenny Cannon here, and we're going to break down two things in this training. The first of all, it's going to be a pretty long video, so plan that out. I don't know exactly how long it's going to be, but plan that out, and you definitely want to have a notebook and a pen, something to write with, because a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about here is not going to be written on the slides. It's going to be a lot of explaining, so make sure you're prepared for that. Two things before we get started. Number one, this can be used, what we're going to learn here can be used to sell anything. Doesn't matter what it is, and we'll go through that. And number two, you have to make sure that you're selling good stuff. Okay, I've said this over and over and over again. The stuff that I teach can be used to sell anything, which I just said, and that includes selling bad things, things that people shouldn't be buying, or selling good stuff to the wrong people applies as well. You have to make sure that your product is the best, or service is the best it could possibly be in your situation. That doesn't mean it has to be the best in the world. That means it has to be the best that you can do. Okay, so just make sure that you remember those two things. All right, so when we start off a sales, but this is a sales video. Some of you might have even bought this training to watch this course here. But this sales video here starts off with how to make $2,500 per day by sending a simple little Facebook message to cold contacts. So we always want to start off with the big picture promise. Okay, we are going to get judged at the end of this based on if we fulfilled this promise, right? So first thing I say when I open up the video, how to make $2,500 per day by sending simple little Facebook messages to cold contacts. All right, the rest of the video is based on that. And people are going to be saying to themselves the whole entire time, is he sticking with this? Is he talking about this? How is this getting me towards the 2,500? Is he helping me with the 2,500? That's the big deal. And if I can fulfill this promise by the end of the video, and I do a couple other things right, then a good percentage of the people are going to buy it. And this sales video did actually very well. Okay? The problem with this, though, is that it's a big promise. It's a juicy promise. It gets people excited. And in this instance, and in every instance when you write a sales presentation, it should be true, obviously. Shouldn't have to say that, but I do. But the problem with it is that there's a lot of people out there that are like, hey, listen, man, I'm at zero right now, right? Or I've never done anything before in my life when it comes to the internet or Facebook or selling stuff or whatever. 2,500 is a little out of reach. Right? And that's a problem because you can lose some people right away. Like they can say, oh, $2,500 a day, that's way out of my range. I got to make like $50 a day, or I got to make like $100 or $200 a day, or I got to make $2,500 a month part-time when I'm working my full-time job or whatever. So then what we do to combat that, this is actually our first rebuttal. Okay, we're on our second slide here in a second, and we're already going to be on our first rebuttal to an objection. Okay. So I know that that's what some people are thinking. So I'm instantly going to go to, hey, I have a quick question for you. If I can guarantee you a minimum of $25 for every message you send, how many would you send? Okay. Why do I do that? Two reasons. Number one, I want to break it down into bite-sized chunks. Okay. Just look at the numbers because that's the only thing that really matters. 2,500, big juicy promise. $25, reachable. For everybody, no matter where you are or whatever, right? So here I get the people that are saying, listen, I already make $1 million a year, right? But, does it make sense to add another $2,500 a day to my business? Sure, let's see what he has to say. But the people I lose here are the ones that say, I'm at zero. I have a full-time job. I work 12 hours a day. I don't have time to do any of this stuff. I don't want to make $2,500 a day. I want to make $2,500 a month and I'd be happy. Well, I pick them up here. Okay, so I'm doing two things at one time on those two slides. I'm picking up the big fish and I'm picking up the new people. All right, I'm making it in bite-sized chunks and I'm also giving the big long-term vision, which is the $2,500 per day. And that's not really a long-term vision. If you actually do the stuff that we teach you in this particular training, I don't know what training you bought, but if you bought this one, if you do exactly what we teach you in this training, the $2,500 a day is really not that big of a deal. You got to message like 100 people, 75 people maybe. If you sell a $1,000 product, $500 product, it's really not that big of a deal. I always tell people to grab a pen and piece of paper in every video that I do because I don't read slides. I talk a lot, and you should know this if you've been through any of my training before. A slide presentation for me is exactly that. It's for me. The slide presentation is not for you, it's for me. When I see something on a page, there's really no good example in here. Let me see if I can find one real quick. I guess I can use this, right? So this alone to you is meaningless. Cold contacts, book the appointment, close or trial. But if I was going to train you on this, right? This is a sales video, so it's different. But if I was going to train you on this, I would be able to spend about a half hour on this one slide, right? I'll do 10 minutes on the cold contact. How do you find them? What do you look for? What's a qualified prospect? Want, need, desirability, authority, all that stuff, right? I could spend 10 minutes there. I could spend 10 minutes on how to book the appointment. I could spend 10 minutes on closing or offering a trial, okay? Now, the reason why I do that, this is very important that you understand this. The reason why I do that, the reason why I add this is because it shows the person that's watching the video that I know what I'm talking about. And authority when you're selling stuff is huge, okay? If I'm just sitting here and I'm reading the words on the piece of paper or on the screen, I'm not gaining any authority with them, right? Other people could have wrote that. I'm just the salesperson. I'm just the pitch guy, whatever. That's why, I'm not bashing anybody. I'm just giving you the numbers, right? That's why sales videos that I create for myself, for my own products, I don't create sales videos for other people, for my own products, for myself, when I do them, I write them, I do everything from start to finish. That's why you'll see 12, 13, 14, 15, sometimes 20% conversion rates on the sales videos that I do, because I'm demonstrating authority from the first word that comes out of my mouth, okay? Now, you look at the best, quote unquote, internet marketers in the world. If they get 3% on a sales video, they're ecstatic. They're writing books, right? It's a big deal. Like 3% is huge. I'm getting 15, 20% pretty much all the time. Double digits every time. I don't want to say 15 to 20% every time, but double digits every single launch I've ever done pretty much. And the reason why, one of the biggest reasons why, is because I demonstrate authority. I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the topic on hand. I know what I'm talking about because I'm not just reading to you, okay? Now, I don't want to go on and say all of those things, okay? So what we do is we do what's called planting a seed, okay? Now, what planting a seed is, you say reading is stupid, okay? That plants the seed of the people that are reading to me on slides are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. This guy obviously does know what he's talking about because he's not going to read to me, and on and on and on. So I'm saying all of those things without me actually saying it. There's like an old saying in sales, if they come up with it themselves, it's more powerful than if you tell it to them, right? The prospect. It's true. It's very true. So I want to plant the seed and let them come up with what that seed means themselves, okay? Now, obviously, I know what I'm planting, right? So I know what's going to come out of it, okay? If you plant a tomato seed, you're not going to get an apple tree. I'm planting a specific seed, and I know what's going to sprout from that seed. So when I say reading to you is stupid, I know what they're going to think when I say that, all right? So I don't have to go in and say all the other stuff. Testimonials, I'm not a big testimonial guy, believe it or not. Testimonials can be weaved in and out of this presentation or any presentation, wherever you really want. I like to put, if I'm going to use them, sometimes I don't even use them. Okay, I very rarely use income proof. Every once in a while I will, but most of the time I don't. I don't really think it's all that important, to be honest with you. I think people overvalue it. But testimonials, in this case, we led off with them, and I believe we have some at the end as well, because here I refer back to it. That's the only reason why I put this here. But not as important as people make them out to be. They're really not. They do help close deals. The percentage is going to go up with testimonials as opposed to without. But it's not like, I can't launch a product because I don't have testimonials for it. I'll launch it anyway. It's not going to be that much of a difference. The one suggestion when it comes to results, when you're proving the results, the one suggestion that I have for you is always, in my opinion, try to use other people's stuff, not your own. I don't really think using your own stuff is that powerful. You could tell your story, right, if you want to. I don't do that in sales videos like this. I do it in webinars. But you could tell your story to gain credibility, but I'd rather you gain credibility this way. as opposed to telling your story. You could drop little hints of your story as you go through the presentation, but to tell, to do slide after slide after slide of I started here and this was tough and I did this and this didn't work and I found myself sleeping on my cousin's couch and everything was going bad and I was eating ramen noodles 5 times a day. To go on and on and on for 45 minutes about that, kind of dumb. It's a waste of time. You don't really need to do that. You can demonstrate, because the reason why people are doing that is because they want to demonstrate authority, right? They want to show you where they came from and where they are now, and they want you to follow that same path. And they're trying to relate to as many people as they possibly can. So they go as low as they can. I was living on the street or whatever. And then they go as high as they can. Now I make millions and millions of dollars, and I have naked women all around me, and I have all these cars and everything else. Okay? But you can do that without being such a D-bag about it. I don't want to curse too much on this video. You could do that without being such a jerk. You could just do it by showing that you have authority, by teaching them stuff without reading to them. Right? That's enough authority. Okay. Okay. So I don't like to use my own stuff because I think it's dumb. I think other people's stuff is better. And I think it relates to the prospect more. If I came to you and I said, yeah, man, I'm closing 80% of the people I talk to. Okay, fine. You worked at Stratton Oakmont. You've been selling for 20 years. You have the best sales material in the world. I was trained on the best sales material in the world. So my pitches are on point. They have been for 20 years. They were written by one of the greatest salespeople that ever lived, built the biggest sales organization in the world, and all that stuff. I've been on the phone ever since that day when I was 15 years old. I've been, I closed $1 million deals over the telephone. People didn't know who I was. The company I was with didn't know anything about me. $1 million deals. I've done all that stuff. So you look at my results and you say, of course, right? And that's what you're thinking. And I'm always, every time I sell anything to anybody, I'm always asking myself, if I say this, what are they thinking? If I put this on a screen, what is the person going to think? If I tell someone grab a pen and piece of paper, what are they going to think? They're going to think I'm going to teach them something, right? So I got to fulfill that. I have to make sure that I follow through with that. If I tell them reading is stupid, what are they going to think? That's planting the seed. What are they thinking? Okay? If I give my results, what are they thinking? They're thinking, of course, look at all the things that you've done. You do this stuff every day. And then you become the thing that you never want to become when you're trying to sell something to somebody, especially training material or any kind of service. You become that mythical guru figure. Don't want to become that guy, ever. Okay? So that's what happens when you give your own results. That's why I very rarely do it. I like to give results of people that I've worked with in the past or people that have tried what I am presenting and saw results with it. Okay. I never use results from other stuff. People do that. I don't think it's ethical, so I don't do it. So this result right here, this testimonial right here, just want to say thank you for the help. Contacted 11 prospects. This booked 9 appointments. Whatever. This is from the training that is in this slide presentation. Very clear. You have to understand that. Okay. This is from this particular training. There are a lot of other people that I know and have worked with in the past and, whatever, friends of mine or people that I know that will have a testimonial from 5 launches ago and put it in the one they're currently doing. Is that ethical? Is it unethical? I don't do it, so I don't really know. I don't want to pass judgment on those people. But what I will tell you is this. If the testimonial, and this is just my opinion, you do what you want to do. If the testimonial says, I contacted 11 prospects, like you said, and booked 9 appointments, and this has nothing to do with how to make $2,500 per day sending simple Facebook messages, that's unethical, right? So if this person wrote me this testimonial about a cold calling product, I have a product called Appointment Machine. If this person wrote me this testimonial because of Appointment Machine, it's an unethical thing. Shouldn't put it in here, right? But if the testimonial said, let's say it was from Appointment Machine, and the testimonial said, Kenny's really good at teaching people. His stuff is really thorough. He's on point. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to selling. And I'd recommend him to anyone that, ever needed any kind of sales training. That's fine to put in here because it's not giving specific results about the specific thing that I taught that person. It's just talking about how great I am or how great he thinks I am, right? So that would be fine. But if it's giving specifics about the training, that I would leave out unless it's what you're going to teach them, right? So this testimonial right here has to do with, just scroll down here real quick, has to do with this, right? This is what they learned. Okay, so they didn't get a 5-part video training series. I just taught them how to do that, how to do it, right? The 5-part video training series wasn't even created yet, but I taught them the same stuff that is taught in the 5-part video training series, right? They got all of this information, whether it was in this exact format or not, doesn't matter. They got all of this information. So by me saying, by me putting these testimonials in here, it's fine because it's the exact process that these people are going to learn when they watch this video. All right, so when you're doing testimonials, just make sure you remember that. What you just saw are some of the results our students are seeing simply by sending messages to cold contacts on Facebook. I'm just reiterating that. I want to make sure that they understand that it's the students' results and not mine. It's very important for me to understand, for me to get across. These are not my results. Not my results. I do not want my results in here. I don't want it, because that creates an objection for myself. Okay? Sure, you can do it is an objection. You don't want to create that. Regular people, just like you, that have no experience in this whatsoever, did this. They're not special. They're not different. They don't have experience. They did this. You can do it too. That's why I'm sitting here and I'm saying, our students, okay? And I'm reiterating the fact, sending messages to cold contacts on Facebook. That's why, again, it's important. These statistics come from this. All right? If this was from Appointment Machine or any other product that I had, I think it would be unethical. I mean, to me, that's unethical, right? You make your own judgment, but to me, I wouldn't do it. All right? In this free training video, I have terrible allergies today, guys, so if I'm sniffling a little bit, sorry. In this free training video, I'm going to show you exactly how it's done. Pretty straightforward, right? I mean, we're just going to say it. It is what it is. Okay, so the angle, you want to make sure you put that in there, though. You want to make sure that they're connecting these results, right, to what we're going to learn here. So that slide is important. The angle. We sell this service using connection and hook model instead of a traditional sales model. What is the connection and hook model? If you know, you maybe write it down on your notebook or whatever. What is the connection and hook model? The answer to that question is the connection and hook model is the name that I came up with for this when I was writing this slide. Doesn't mean a damn thing. The connection and hook model is this. Watch. Let me go down to this slide and show you. The angle. First thing we're going to do is find a connection. Second thing we're going to do is find a hook. It could have been the ask and lockdown model. It could have been the hook and ask model. It could have been the hook and lockdown. Could have been anything. It doesn't matter what it is. We name our own things. We name our own products. We name our own methods. We name our own stuff. So we sell this using the connection and hook model instead of the traditional sales model. Why do I put that in there? I put that in there because it creates intrigue. They're thinking what I just asked you, and they can't answer it like you couldn't answer it. What is the connection and hook model? What is it? We don't know. So how about we go down through the slides and we talk about it and we find out, right? That's the point of this. The point of this is to create intrigue. What does this mean? What does this mean, right? Not can it help me? Not does it work? Not does it work for me? Not what does it mean? What is it? All right, again, you're planting a seed knowing what that seed is going to bring up. You're planting something knowing what it's going to create in their mind. Okay? I know that when I say we sell this service using the connection and hook model, the person watching the video, or a good percentage of them, is saying, what the hell is that? And that's the only response I want. I don't want them to say, oh, the connection and hook model is amazing. I don't want them to say that. I don't want them to say, oh, the connection and hook model works for everybody. I don't want them to say that. What I want them to say is, what does that mean? If I can get them to say that, what happens? They continue in the video, and that's the only goal. Keep them on the page. That's it, okay? This is another one that's pretty straightforward. If you've ever done any training with me before, you should know this stuff inside and out. I talk about it in pretty much every video that I do because this is all my company does. I mean, I built a pretty big company on these 5 things, all right? Prospect, pitch, close, provide, preserve. That's all we do. If you're not doing one of those 5 things in my business, you're fired. everything else is a waste of time. We're not here building websites. We're not here on Twitter. We're not here on Instagram or whatever. We are here to prospect, bring in qualified leads. Take a market, filter it down to prospects, qualify those prospects, filter it down again, and then give me, I'm the salesperson here, I sell everything. So I don't prospect really all that much anymore, but I sell. I'm the guy that gets the qualified leads and closes the deals. So you prospect, you bring it in, I pitch, I close, and then somebody else provides, somebody else preserves, and all that. So if you're not doing one of those 5 things, you're wasting your time. Get out of the business. You're fired. All right? And I always put that in here because it's very, very important. Everybody has to understand that. A lot of people in this industry, the internet marketing, or whatever you want to call it, industry, they're wasting time. 90% of their time is wasted on stupid crap. Okay, the process. Pretty basic process, right? This is a sales process in any business in the world. You have a cold audience. You warm that audience up in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through a qualification process or through booking an appointment, and then you close the deal. Right now, trials are usually not on it in a lot of businesses, but there could be a form of a trial. Like when I was in the stock business, we had we had D&B cards, they were cold calls, but they were semi-qualified. We knew how much money they made and all that stuff, the value of their business and all that. So we would call them and we would offer them basically information about our company. And then we would qualify them. So I'd ask them questions like, what was the last stock you bought? One of my favorite questions to ask was, if the best opportunity you ever saw in your life came across your desk right now, how much liquid would you have to go for it? Right? So something like that. Or how much money could you scrape together to put behind it, or something like that. So that's all the qualification phase, right? Then what we would do is we would call them back about 3 weeks later with an idea, and then we would close the deal. Now, the deal that we closed was really a trial. It was an account open. So what we would do is we would start off at 1,000 shares, go down to 100, and we would say just base what we do on a percentage deal, right? So if you buy 100 shares of a stock, you're not going to make a lot of money. But if I could show you a 5 or 10% return on that money, you'll know that I'm the real deal, and we'll swing for the fences next time. Now, we couldn't actually say that stuff because it's illegal, but we would hint it out. Again, we would plant the seed, right? We would plant the seed, and we would let them come up with that in their head themselves. So it's a very basic process right here, and it's the process this is how every business is built. It doesn't have to be an appointment booking thing, but it could be cold contact, qualify, close on one call. Could be cold contact, qualify, close on one visit to an office. Could be cold contact, qualify, close on one video, right? Or one Skype call, or one webinar, or whatever. Or you could have a webinar that has a cold audience that books appointments for a one-on-one consultation where you close at a $5,000 a month consulting package, right? So the process is very basic, but it could be spun in a couple different ways, all right? The math, very, very important, okay? I preach about math all the time. This makes it real for people. Okay, and it has to be real. And again, it connects back. Remember I said before, they're going to be judging us on this. And in my sales presentations, always you'll see, they're going to be judging us on this and this because I make it real for them, right? I want the big guy, say $2,500 a day, add to my business. Awesome. Big goal, big picture. The little guy who's never done anything before, works full-time job, raises a family, wants to do something on the side, part-time, 3 or 4 hours a week, whatever. $25, it's a real number for me, right? I want both of those people. The math is what makes it real. So what I'm saying is charge $500 a month, contact 100 people, 20 of them say yes, 5 turn into paying customers, $2,500 a month in income, okay? You could do this every day, and you'll hear me say it in sales videos all the time. You could do it every day. This could be a weekly thing for you. It could be a monthly thing for you. It all depends on how much you want to do it, how much you want to work. So if you want to do 100 contacts a week, that's fine. You want to do 100 contacts a day, that's fine. You want to do 200 contacts a day, that's fine. And I'm always pointing back, look, to this, okay? Because what are they saying here? They're saying, yeah, but what if I don't get 20 yeses? What if I don't get 5 paying customers, right? What if all that stuff doesn't work out? I can contact 100 people. What if these numbers don't work out? Well, they might not work out. But I can tell you that this person contacted 45 people, got 29 appointments. This person here contacted 11 prospects, booked 9 appointments. Okay? That's not me booking the appointments. That's people that I shown the exact same stuff to booking the appointments. So you may have reservations about the 100, the 20, the 5, but just remember, these people had the same reservations. They did it, and look at the results. Okay? And you'll see me connect those dots a lot of times. I do it over and over and over again throughout this presentation and every presentation that I do. The numbers start to compound themselves after the first week. That there's really black and white on that one. Like, it's just, it means what it says, right? There's nothing special behind it. It just, in this particular instance, with this business model, the numbers compound themselves after the first week. So we put that in there because they do. And the way that it works, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just here to explain to you how this works. So all these slides here are kind of meaningless in the whole process because this only really applies to this particular model and other models that use, trials and case study closes and things like that. Because the bottom line is this: the first week or the first day or however you want to do this, you're going to contact 100 people. 20 of them are going to say yes. 5 are going to turn into paying customers. It's not going to happen every time. Sometimes 30 will say yes. Sometimes 15 will say yes. Sometimes 5 will turn into paying clients. Sometimes 3. Sometimes 1. Sometimes 10. I mean, that's a sales game. You guys know that, right? But the bottom line is that the next week, no matter what you do, it's going to be more. Because you have more results, you have more feedback, you have more testimonials. Okay? Sorry, my phone just went off. Let me put my phone on silent so I don't keep getting those messages coming in because they come in all day long. All right? And then week number 3, or day number 3, however you want to do it, you're going to have more feedback, more testimonials, more of everything. So you'll be able to close more deals, get more contacts, get more appointments, and all that stuff. Okay? So that's how the math works. But again, this is not something you're going to be able to use in everything that you do because it only kind of works in businesses that use the testimonial / case study / oh, wait, we have a trial if it doesn't work out on the $500 thing type deal. Okay, if you're doing something like that, then great. And again, this too is just kind of straightforward. The math is absolutely mind-blowing, and it is. If you actually calculate this out, it is. And the numbers don't have to work out perfectly. You look here, 10 can say yes, 2 could turn into paying customers. As long as they keep compounding on themselves, which they always do, you figure that out a year in advance, it's pretty crazy. This is the first product I ever created that I am actually going to start and going to follow the steps and start a business, brand new business with you. Straightforward again. I don't put this in any, videos or anything. It's just, in this case, I'm doing that. So, it is what it is. Most of the stuff that I teach, I've been doing for a long time. This is not one of them. This particular product that you're seeing here, this particular sales presentation here, it's not something I've been doing for a long time. It's something I've been doing for a short time. And I am in the process of building clients this way, right? So I can say this, it's true, it's honest, I'm actually doing it. And if you are doing that, great, that's awesome. But you have to make sure you don't want to put this in a way that says, I've never done this before and it's a crapshoot, right? You don't want that to come off. And that's not how it comes off when I do it. So just be careful with that. If you're going to add something like this in here, number 1, make sure it's true. Make sure you're actually going to do it and follow through. And number 2, make sure it comes off in a way where it doesn't sound like you are trying it with them, right? It's already a proven concept. This is how you want it to come off. It's already a proven concept. Remember, these people did it. It's already proven, right? Where the hell was I now? But it's so proven, and the math is so mind-blowing, and it compounds on itself that I've decided to take away some of my time from my other businesses that are making me all this money. You got me this far in life, the houses, the cars, whatever, the boats, got me all that stuff. I'm going to take time out of all of that to do this. That's how powerful it is. You don't say any of that stuff. Okay, you don't say any of it. But the way that you say this plants that seed. Okay, so I would say this kind of, in this tone. The math is absolutely mind-blowing. It's so mind-blowing and so compelling that this is the first product I ever been involved in where I'm actually going to take time away from my current businesses to follow the steps with you and start a brand new business. Now, that benefits everybody. Obviously, I'm going to make more money. I'm going to start a business that's sellable and it's an asset that I can grow. But also, I'm going to be experiencing the same problems, the same objections, the same I don't have time, the same I have to talk to my wife, the same I don't have the money. I'm going to experience those same objections and problems that you're going to be experiencing on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to be able to help you with that. Now, here's the angle, right? So you see how I didn't just read it, although it is very straightforward. I didn't just read it. I added a lot to it because I want to make sure that they understand I am taking time away from my business that made me a whole bunch of money, got me all this stuff, right? I'm not saying any of that, but I'm planting that seed. Made me a whole bunch of money, got me all this stuff. And this is so great that I'm taking time away from that to join you on this journey, okay? The angle. This is just the model that we're doing. So, I mean, for you, this is going to be different, but whatever it is, right? The model is going to be, we're going to find a common connection, we're going to find a hook, we're going to ask for an appointment, we're going to lock it down, and they're going to say yes to that appointment, and then we're going to move on, okay? Again, this is more just like training stuff. The bottom line is that if you make more money, they're going to stay with you. It really is that simple, and it really is. For all you offline people, like, this is what it comes down to. I mean, no matter what you do, you sell money. That's what you do. As an offline marketing consultant or any kind of business consultant, you sell money. That's what you do. If you sell advertising in Yellow Pages or billboards or papers, whatever, you sell money. That's what you're selling. You're selling revenue to a company. If you sell SEO, you sell revenue to a company. If you sell lead generation, you sell revenue to a company. If you sell paid ads, you sell revenue to a company. Rep management, revenue. Web design, revenue. Graphic design, revenue. The problem that offline marketers have is that they go out, they're SEO people, they sit in a plumber's office, and they talk about Penguin and Panda and backlinks and HTML codes and everything else. The plumber doesn't know what the hell you're talking about. What the plumber wants to hear is, there's 3,000 people in this area that have broken toilets. They're looking for plumbing help every single month. I can get you like 20 or 30 of them. That's it. You fix the toilets, I get the broken toilets, and we're good to go. Focus on the money. If you make them more money than they pay you, they will stay with you forever. As long as you don't royally F it up, they will stay with you forever. And it really is that simple. That's all you really have to do, because that's what they want. They don't care about ranking number one on Google. They don't care about getting, a Twitter account with 2,000 followers or whatever the hell it is. They don't care about all that stuff. What they care about is making money. They do all of those things because they believe it's going to make them money. That's why they do them. Cut to the chase, right? Talk about the money. That's what you sell. Okay, so another quick question. Do you think you can copy and paste do you think you can, you see how bad, this is, okay. I wrote this whole thing myself. Obviously, you can tell because it's all effed up, and I'm a high school dropout, so I don't have that, my English is off and all that stuff. Do you think you could, a simple copy and paste model, and send off a few messages on Facebook per day? If you go back and watch this sales video, I am not even going to notice that there's a mistake there, right? And you're not going to probably notice it either. You might, but you probably won't, because I don't sit here and read to you. What I'm going to say is, I'm going to come from here to here, and I'm going to say, now let me ask you another quick question. Do you think that if I gave you a quote-unquote copy and paste model that you could just take and send it off on Facebook Messenger, do you think you can do that? Like, honestly, that's an honest question. I want you to answer that yes or no. If you don't think you can do that, then fine. Maybe you should just stop watching this video. It's not going to help you, right? Do something else. But if you think you can just take the messages that I send and the people that I taught this to send, and you could just paste that into your Facebook account and send it off to people and use the model that I teach you. If you think you can do that, raise your hand, write yes down on a piece of paper, answer that question. I want to know yes or no, okay? So I don't even notice the mistake, because all this is, remember I said it before, the slides are for me. It's a cue for my brain. Once I see what I see here, I just go, right? I'm not even looking at the screen. I'm looking at my microphone, okay? I'm just going to go. I know what's supposed to be here, and I'm just going to go with that. What's on the screen, the words, pretty much meaningless to me. It's just there to spark the thing in my head, and then I go with it. All right? I asked this question again because the next slide is going to really pound it home, okay? If I were to guarantee you a minimum of $25 for every cold Facebook message you sent, how many would you send? And I asked them to answer the question again, right? I say, I'm going to ask you this question again, all right? I want you to think about this again, and I want you to actually answer it. Write down a number or an answer. If I were to guarantee you a minimum of $25 for every cold Facebook message that you sent, whether they bought from you or not, whether they booked an appointment or not, doesn't matter. All you got to do is send them. How many would you send per day? Then what I do is I break down how I get to the $25 a message. Okay? I solidify this with logic right here. Okay? Now, again, I don't know if the testimonial is here again, but if you go back to here, 100 people, 20 yeses, 5 clients. Is this realistic? Well, on its face, we don't know, right? Sitting here, we don't know. But if we refer back to this, is it realistic now? Well, she got 9 out of 11. Okay? He got 29 out of 45. I'm asking you to get 20 out of 100. So, is it realistic? If you link it back to the beginning, it's totally realistic. And I'm going to say things like, these numbers are like nauseatingly bad. That's nauseatingly bad is one of my favorite things to say. I don't know why, it's weird, but it kind of just really pushes the point home. These numbers are terrible. Like, if you're the worst salesperson ever on the history of the earth, you probably might do better than these numbers. That's how bad they are. And if you remember back to the other people that I was showing you before, they were destroyed. 20 out of 100 get you fired, right? So I'll say things like that to kind of lead them to where I want them to go, but I'm not going to go into great detail about it. I'm just going to break it down, use math. Math is logic, okay? We have to sell on emotion and logic, both. Someone sold on emotion and logic, they're going to buy from you almost every time. You have to sell on both. So this is the logical part of it, okay? The emotional part of it is kind of weaved in and out of here, and we'll go through that as we go through it. But the answer, there's only one answer, and the answer is to this question. This is a little confusing, to be honest with you. I had to go through this a couple times because the jump here is a little confusing. I'm asking this question. If I were to guarantee you a minimum of $25, how many would you send? Then I'm breaking down the $25. Then I'm saying there's only one answer. Really what I should have done is I should have done that, right? So, quick question. I'm going to ask you this one more time. If I were to guarantee you a minimum of $25 for every cold Facebook message that you sent, how many would you send? Break it down, make it real, hit them on the logic, then say, again, in case you forgot, if I were to guarantee you $25 per message, which is what I just did in the previous slide, how many would you send? There's only one answer, and that answer is as many as I freaking can. Right? It's not a number. It's I'm going to send them until my fingers bleed. If I know this number is true, I'm going to send them until I'm dead. Simple as that, right? But for whatever reason, I didn't do that. But I almost guarantee you, I don't know if this is true or not. You'd have to watch the sales video again. But I probably said that anyway, or at least referred to it in some way, shape, or form. So probably what I did is I probably read this question like I told you, did the logic thing here, and then I said, now, remember back to the question that I just asked you, the whole thing about if I can guarantee you a minimum of $25, there's only one answer to that question, and that's as many as you possibly can send, right? I probably did that, but really in a perfect world, I should have had this duplicated, and I should have moved this down here, and I should have re-asked the question to really hammer it home, because that was the toughest part of the whole presentation for me. When I was creating it, I just didn't really know how to flow this the right way. I wanted to ask the question, I wanted to prove the answer with logic, and then I wanted to give the answer, which is, there's only one, which is as many as you can. Now that we've done the logic part, we're going to start working on the emotional part. And again, we've kind of hit on some of that throughout this. Like the testimonials are emotional, and this is a little bit of an emotion deal. This is a little bit hits on emotion a little bit. This hits on emotion a little bit. But we do it more in the bottom. I'm going to show you how that's done. But this is where the transition happens. There's only one answer. We hit them on logic, totally shut them down on logic. So now this is a brand new client getting method. It's never been shared before by anybody. And I think, again, I don't really remember, but I think I said in the sales video, obviously I showed it to some of the people that I that you saw in the testimonials, but what I mean is that this hasn't been launched to the public yet. I said something along those lines, I believe. Because this is actually not true, right? I have to explain this. This is not true. This has been shared with a few other people before, so I can't say anybody, really. I have to explain that, and I did in the sales video. So this is a little bit of an emotional deal, too, because they want to make sure that what they're learning is the cutting-edge stuff. Although I am not a cutting-edge guy. I don't agree with it. I don't believe in it. I think that basic and boring and simple is the way to go. The biggest companies in the world are built on basic and boring stuff. So oil, Walmart, things like that. Retail, Amazon. It's all basic and boring stuff, and I like basic and boring. But people who buy stuff like cutting edge. So you can sell and provide two different things, right? Selling and providing are different. So if I need to say brand new client getting method that's never been shared before, obviously I'm going to explain that second part. But if I need to say brand new client getting method to get someone further down the path for them to buy the product, I'm going to do that. That's not a lie. That's not a misrepresentation. It is a brand new way of getting clients, right? I don't really know anyone who's taught messaging on Facebook before to get clients. I mean, I've never seen it, okay? But what you have to understand is that the process, we're prospecting, right? We're qualifying, we're presenting, we're closing, we're providing, we're preserving. The process is the same. So the technology I'm using is different. We're messaging on Facebook, right? We could have called them on the phone, could have knocked on their door. The process is not changing. The technology is, okay? All right, so here's what I'm going to give you. This is where everybody freaks out. So when you get to this point, just don't freak out. You're going to say, remember, this is a brand new client getting method that's never been shared before by anybody. And if you have to explain that because you gave testimonials, explain it. It's fine. No big deal. Here's what we're going to give you. Just tell them what you're going to give them. All right, don't freak out about it. This is where everybody screws up. Just tell them. Video number 1. Here's what it is. Okay, there's nothing, no trickery here. It is what it is. Video number 1. This is called stacking the offer. Video number 2. Video number 3. Video number 4. I want you to try to answer this question. This is kind of a little bit of a joke, but I want you to try to answer this. Why is video 1 and video 2 bullet pointed out, video 3 and video 4 just words? Write that down and see if you can come up. I'll give you the answer in a second. But there's nothing really going on here. This is just me writing out bullet points like you would on a squeeze page or a sales page or whatever. Even in an ad, maybe if you had an ad with bullet points in it for some reason. I'm basically going through the video number 1, watching it and kind of skipping around. It's about a 50-minute video, 45-minute video. Skipping around, finding the key points, writing out bullet points, doing the same thing here. The only reason why these are different is because I just got tired of watching the videos. That's it. Like, people will see something like this and they'll be like, oh, there's some trickery going on here. Nope, I just got tired of watching the videos. I didn't want to watch them anymore, so I just wrote another headline, basically. Like how to book 80%, how to book appointments with up to 80% of the people with the message on the first contact. So that's what I teach in video 3. That's like the overview, right? I could have very easily went through that and bullet pointed it out. I just didn't want to watch the video, right? And video training number 4 is the same thing. How to create presentations that literally force a prospect to say yes, boxing them in. I give the warning. And this is, people do this stuff and they think it's a joke. I really don't feel comfortable teaching this stuff without saying this. So this is not like, oh, this is so good, I have to give this warning. It's an underground secret thing. No, this is well documented. Like there was a movie made about this stuff, right? So I'm not going to teach it unless I understand, unless we understand. It kind of covers myself. So if somebody takes this material and goes out and sells crack with it, they can't come back and say, well, he taught me how to do that stuff, so I used it and I sold drugs with it, arrest him. They can't do that. So I have to make sure that I tell people, use this stuff in an ethical way. All of my friends that I know from the stock days, the mortgage days, and the car days that learned this stuff are either dead, in jail, or rich. Some of them used it the wrong way, and they overdosed on drugs or whatever. They're dead. They're in jail. Some of them use it the right way, and they're very wealthy. So it can be used, influence as a whole, can be used in a positive way or in a negative way. I always tell people, I did an interview on a podcast one time, and somebody asked me, top 3 influencers ever in the history of the world, who they were. And it was an interesting question, and we ended up agreeing on the 3 people. But my answer was Jesus, number 1, Hitler, number 2, and Martin Luther King, number 3. And the person asked me, well, Hitler was evil. He killed a lot of people, and he was a terrible person. Yeah, but he influenced a crap ton of people as well. And it's not easy to wake up one morning and say, yeah, I'm just going to murder a whole race and have the country say, okay, sounds like a good idea, right? It's also not easy to wake up in the morning. I'm kind of paraphrasing this, but it's also not easy to wake up in the morning and say, I'm the son of God, so I'm just going to, hey, you sitting on the sidewalk, you can't walk, just boom, get up, walk, and he walks. Like you can't just wake up and start doing that stuff and have people just jump on board. That takes skill. That takes influencing, right? Martin Luther King, same thing. Martin Luther King Jr., I should say. Same thing. You can't just say in that environment in the 60s and all that, you can't just say, oh, we're just going to sit on this bridge and we're going to get beat, or they're going to spray us with hoses up, or we're just going to lock arms, we're going to be peaceful, we're going to be nice, we're going to be cool about it. And we're gonna have positive change in the world, and we're gonna affect millions and millions and millions of people. And he did that, and he was able to bring people in. They knew they were gonna get beat. They knew they were gonna get spit on and thrown in jail and beat and sprayed with hose, dogs leashed on them. They knew that was going to happen. But Martin Luther King Jr. was such a great influencer that he was able to lead them down that path. Okay, and when you have that ability, you can use it in great ways, Jesus, Martin Luther King. You can use it in evil ways, Hitler as well. Influence is not good or evil. It's how you use it that matters. And it could be used in either way. So I want to make sure that is always in there. All right? You don't have to put that in yours, but I just wanted to tell you that. All right. There really should be a close here. There's not, though. So I'll show you, again, in a perfect world. I wrote this in about 45 minutes. Okay. In a perfect world, what we would like to do is we would like to do that, right? Click the buy button. Then bonus, 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 more stacking. Okay. But we didn't do that because I wrote it real quick and recorded it real quick. But there should be a close between the main training and the bonus, or at least a value build, right? So you don't have to actually say click the buy button here and get involved. But what you could do is you could say, video training number 1, training number 2, training number 3, training number 4, total value $9.97. Right? And you could do that, and then maybe you could throw in a rebuttal, and then you can close, and then you could stack on more bonuses after that. But we didn't do that here, so we'll just stick with what we got. All right, so bonus number 1, all this stuff here, the goal here is to make this as, number 1, irresistible as possible. Number 2, address any objection that comes up. And number 3, make it as easy as possible. I guess this is kind of as irresistible. It's the same thing as irresistible, but make it as easy as possible for them to say yes and believe they can do it. Okay? If somebody, I can get someone to say yes to something, even if they don't believe they can do it or not. Right? It's not that hard to do. It's pretty easy to do. But if you can get them to say yes and actually believe they can do it, number 1, it's going to help them a lot more. And number 2, they're going to stick with it. They're going to actually do it. And I like when my people see results. Okay? So I want them to know that, regardless of where they came from or what they've done in the past, that they actually can do this stuff. And I'm going to make it as easy as possible for them to get it done. All right? So teach how to outsource the entire process. It's very easy to do. This bonus here should be in every single product or thing that you do. Everything that you do should include, we're going to teach you how to outsource it. Okay? Because what I do in this video is literally, I go on Odesk, or it's Upwork now. It's been Upwork for like 3 years. I call it Odesk still. But you go on the freelancer sites and you just say, okay, you want to do SEO for somebody? Search out SEO. Here's how the star system works and the reviews and hours worked. And this is what I look for in an outsource. It's an easy thing to create. And it's useful for anybody, right? No matter what company you have or whatever your client does, even if it's a landscape or a roof or whatever, maybe they can outsource their billing. Maybe they can outsource their customer support. Maybe they can outsource something. You can teach them that. They may buy the product just to get this, right? There's a lot of people out there that buy products just for the bonuses, okay? So you always want to put that in there. It's something that really, really tells people, listen, no matter what, even if I can't do the providing part, even if I can't do the prospecting part, even if I can't do the selling part, whatever, if they're going to teach me how to outsource the entire thing, then I can get it done because I can find people that can do it. Okay. Templates, scripts, swipes. There's another bonus that should be in everything when it comes to, any kind of revenue generating stuff. So if you're doing business consulting or whatever, offline marketing, anything like that, you should include this stuff. You should have a template for, we're going to go over here in a second, an appointment call. You should have a template for that. You should have a script for that. Whether you do it on the phone or not, you should have a script for that. Because if your client does that on the phone, you want to be able to give them your template, right? Or your script. You should have a template to create a sales presentation. You got that with this training, no matter what you bought. I don't know what you bought, but I give that in every training that I do because it's important. You need to know how to sell stuff. So I give you the template to do that. Scripts, swipes, all that stuff. It should be in everything that you do. 2 free live Q&A sessions with me. People are going to have questions. This is a big, big tipping point for people. All right. We can see when people decide to click the button in most cases. Okay. And I could tell you that there are a lot of people who will click right here, second they get on the page. Okay. There are a lot of people that will click right. Where the hell was I just at? A lot of people will click right here, and a lot of people will click right here. Those are the 3 big points where people are going to actually buy from you. All right. The biggest bonus is where a lot of the tipping happens. So 2 free live Q&A sessions with me. We will battle live on the call. So what does that mean? It really doesn't mean much when it comes to sales psychology. But what I'm doing here with the battling stuff is I'm gonna go on a live Q&A call with people, and I'm gonna say, okay, what when it comes to selling stuff or prospecting or whatever, what are you hearing? Right? You closed. You talked to 100 people and you got 30 appointments. Well, what happened with the other 70? What did they say to you? All right, and the person's gonna say, well, I'm not interested in that, or I don't have time, or I got to talk to my partner first. Whatever they say, I'm going to open up their microphone, and they're going to say it to me live on the call, and then I'm going to rebut the objection and get over it and book the appointment with them, okay? So I'm going to do that live on the call, and the reason why I add that, number one, is because there's no objection in the world that I can't overcome because I've heard every single thing you can imagine, okay? That's number one. And number two, it just works better for me to do it that way. I can't, if you write me an email saying secretaries are telling me that the person's not in, I can't answer you back and say, here's how to overcome it. I can't do it. You have to actually say that to me, and then I have to just let my ability go and let me do my thing. And then you just write it down, record it, watch it over again, because that's the best way you're going to learn. And that's the best rebuttal that's going to come out. It's just me going boom and just hitting it. It's instinct at this point for me. Okay. So I've been doing it for a long time. So that's what that call is all about. This is a huge selling point. If you could do 2 free live Q&A sessions with people, or even 1, that's a great way to get people into your program or product or service or whatever. If this is a big commitment, but if you can do a weekly Q&A session with people, Grant Cardone does this. I love Grant. He's consider him a mentor of mine. Great guy. Covers a lot of different stuff. I don't really talk to him or work with him on the sales side of things. I don't want to learn new sales stuff. I'm kind of set in my ways. But I love his real estate stuff. I'm getting to the point now where I'm going to move into that industry and put a lot of my money into that because I believe in it and I believe in the way that he does it. And I trust him. So I'm going to, try to work with, see if I can get involved with maybe some of his deals or learn from him about how he selects apartment complexes or whatever. When he sells his stuff, he does a weekly call with the people. And it's like the Cardone University weekly whatever meeting or whatever. He gets these people on that call every single week. What is he doing? He's answering questions. He's doing his thing and he's, whatever. But he's also selling more of his stuff, right? He does a $49, I think it was $49 or $47 webinar, like the I don't even know what it was, but he did a webinar that was $49. He had to pay to get on. It was like a 4-hour training thing or whatever. And as a bonus, he gave away his free weekly call. Do you think giving away the free weekly call, if that person's on that call for a month or 2 months or 3 weeks or whatever, do you think the chances of them buying the main product go up or down? They have a chance to buy it every week. It goes through the roof. All he's doing is setting up more time to sell more stuff. That's what he's doing. Okay? So if you can make that commitment, you got to do it every week though. If you can make that commitment, then it will definitely help. You don't have to do that though. 2 works fine. I set up the testimonial again here because I'm going to set up the what if I'm wrong objection right now, and I'm going to kind of put that to bed. But before I do that, I want to set this up because I have to be wrong about something, right? I want to remind them what I'm going to be wrong about. Okay, so it's very important that before you do the what if I'm wrong or assume that I'm wrong close or assume that I'm wrong rebuttal, you want to make sure that they know what you're going to be wrong about. Okay, so I'm going to be wrong about 45 of contacts and 29 appointments. I'm going to be wrong about closing 9 out of 15. I'm going to be wrong about the $8,500 in revenue. And what I'm going to say to them is, let's say I'm completely wrong, and this only gets you 1 client at $500 per month. Would it still be worth investing a few dollars for that 1 client? Okay. I'm asking a question. I know the answer is yes. Has to be yes, right? It's a $37 product, $47 product, $97 product, whatever the price point is. The point here is that the objection is, I don't believe this guy. I've heard this 1,000 times. I don't know this person. Everybody says the same stuff. Okay, fine. I get it. Let's say everything I said was a lie. From step 1 to right now, slide 1 to slide 35, it's all a lie. Throw it all out. Okay? If all this did was get you 1 client at $500 a month, would it be worth investing $47? Yes or no? And then I usually try to tie in a real world example. So I'll say, let me ask you this. Let's say you're going to you want to buy a business, right? And you find out that the local bagel store is for sale. You walk in and you say, hey, I'm looking to buy a business. The bagel store owner says, well, I'm selling a business, so perfect match, right? And you say, okay, yeah, what are the numbers of the business? And he says, we make about $5,000 a month in profit. You say, okay, that's good. How much are you selling it for? He says, I'm selling it for $5,000. Do you buy the business? The answer should be yes every time. If it's not yes, then you need to go back to like business, like 3rd grade stuff, because that's the best deal ever, right? Now, obviously, there's some more due diligence you're going to do or whatever, but that's just an example, right? We want to make it a real world thing for them. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying, don't believe anything that I say. If everything I say is wrong and all this does is get you 1 more client at $500 a month, is it worth it? Usually what I like to add on here is I like to say, if you just listened to what I said from slide 1, I don't say slide 1, but I say something like from the beginning, to slide 35, you probably already got enough information to get at least 1 more client. And then sometimes I'll give examples, right? Like, if all you did was learn to stick to prospect, pitch, close, provide, preserve. If all you did was learn that in and of itself is enough to get you 1 more client, because you're going to be focusing more time on the 5 things that matter, right? If all you learned was the connection and hook thing, that's enough to get you 1 more client. So the point I'm trying to make here, it's twofold, right? The point I'm trying to make here is, even if I'm lying to you and even if I'm wrong, it still makes sense. And I already taught you enough in this video to get you to the $500 a month from that 1 client. I taught you enough to close 1 deal, and I taught you enough to charge them $500 a month, and you haven't even paid me yet, okay? Because again, I understand that right now, the objection that's going through their mind is, heard this before, tried this before, bought 500 courses, none of them worked. That's probably what you were thinking right at that point, right? Everybody says the same thing. it's all the same. This is not going to work for me, whatever. So I need to address it. I need to rebut it. I need to move on. So would it be worth investing a few dollars for that one client? The answer is yes. Okay. Then I hit them with the guarantee. Okay. Even if, and listen, I'm trying to play both sides of it here, right? What I'm saying here again is I know what you're thinking. I tried it before, bought other stuff before, nothing ever works. But does this make sense? The answer is yes. And even if it still doesn't make sense to you, we have a 100% no questions asked guarantee. That means there's no risk to you ever. You see? Now, I'm not going to come out and say, even if it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to come out and say, I know you did 500,000 other things. I know you buy a book a week. I know you buy a WSO. I'm not going to say all that stuff, right? I'm just going to just read what's on the page, basically, connect it with a real world thing so they make it real for themselves. Then I'm going to answer it for them, okay? Then I'm going to say, even if you're still thinking about it, this, okay? You have to understand the difference of what I'm saying and what I'm planting, right? I'm not going to say to them, even if you still think that you heard this all before, and even if you still think that you've tried everything in the past and it never worked, even if you still think that, it doesn't matter because we have a guarantee. I'm not saying that, all right? All I'm saying is our 100% money back guarantee means there's no risk to you whatsoever, okay? But the only reason why I'm saying that at this point in the presentation is because if I didn't catch everybody here, I'm going to catch the leftovers here. Make sense? All right. Then we hit him with a buy button for the first time, I believe, right? Yeah, there should have been one up here, but I got lazy, so whatever. The video's still converted. Doesn't matter. Probably could have converted a little bit better with a buy button up there, but whatever. It doesn't matter. We hit them with the buy button here, and then I hit them with the I don't have money stuff. Okay, let's be honest. You're going to spend the money anyway. You have it. You have it. Don't tell me you don't have money. Don't ever tell me that you don't have money for something. That's a lie. Every time I've ever heard that in my life, it was a lie. And sometimes I get crazy with the examples. When I sold stock, I got almost combative. I offended people with examples. So they would say, I'm talking to a multimillionaire, right? Trying to sell him $2,000 worth of stock to open up an account. I don't have the money for it. You're trying to tell me that if your daughter got kidnapped by the Russians and they demanded $1 million for her safe return, and you saw a video of her getting knives stuck in her stomach, you wouldn't have $1 million to do it? Of course you would. So it's not that you don't have the money. It's that you're putting the money in other places. I'm just asking you to divert a little bit of that investment into my pocket as opposed to somebody else's pocket. Okay, so it's not about not having the money. And I don't use those crazy examples anymore, by the way. It's not about not having the money. It's about where are you putting the money. And I always tell them you're going to spend it anyway. And I usually give examples, better examples than I used to give. So I'll say something like, you're going to go to the movies, you're going to go to dinner, you're going to buy a new shirt, you're going to buy new shoes. All cool things, fun to do, right? We all love to do them. But the bottom line is you're going to forget about those things the day after they happened. Okay, you're not going to remember that wonderful dinner that you had 6 months from now. But this program can alter the course of not only your life, but your entire family tree if you do it the right way. Okay, so how about instead of spending the money, you're going to spend it anyway. How about instead of spending it on dinners out or a new shirt or a new pair of shoes or whatever, all I'm asking you to do is eat in once, sacrifice the dinner once for the chance to change your entire family tree. Okay? And then I go on and I say, and by the way, the money's going to come back anyway. No matter what you do, it doesn't matter. All right? I'm sure even if you don't have a job, even if you're unemployed, if you live in the United States and you're unemployed, even if you're unemployed, you can't, the government is like begging to give you money. Whether it's food stamps or it's the SNAP deal, whatever, healthcare stuff, welfare, whatever it is, they're like begging to get, you can't get away from it. Like they want to give you money. My money, right? They want to give you like successful people's money. That's what they want to do. So even if you're not employed, the money's still going to replenish itself. You're still going to get that check every single week or every 2 weeks or however often you get paid. Okay? So You're going to spend it anyway, and it's going to come back. It's no big deal. Write that down. It's no big deal. That's the point we're getting across. All right? It's no big deal. You're going to spend it anyway. It's going to replenish itself. It's no big deal. Then I'm going to throw something else in. Buy it now. Okay, that's what we're doing there. All right? This is actually what you're watching right now. But it's no big deal. These two slides. It's no big deal. And here's another free thing just to push you over the edge and buy it now. That's it. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stack again, but we're going to stack everything. The main difference here with a sales presentation and a webinar, I should have said this earlier, but I didn't. The main difference here between a sales presentation and a webinar, in a sales presentation, I usually don't value this out. In a webinar, I do. So in a webinar, I'll start off up here. I wouldn't break it down video 1, video 2, video 3. I would do 5-part video training series, and then I would put value, $1,000, right? So here we don't do that, but in a webinar I would. So it would say 5-part video training series, value $997. All slides from training course, value $97. The box and close method, value $197. 2 live Q&A calls, value $997. And I would do that all the way at the bottom, and then I would say total value. You guys saw this before, right? Total value $11,564. Then I address another rebuttal. I don't have time. Okay, I don't have time to do this. Well, you're probably spending an hour, at least an hour a day on Facebook, and give some stats, right? I'll say the average student, the average teenager spends 10 hours a day on Facebook or connected to social media or something. And usually if something like this, I'll make a joke about it. I don't know if I did in this sales video or not, but usually at some point I will. So I'll say something like, the average student spends 85 hours a day on Facebook, and that's crazy because it's only 24 hours a day, but they managed to do it because they're crazy teenagers, and we all know how crazy teenagers are, right? Or something like that. I'll make a dumb joke that nobody thinks is funny, but I entertain myself a little bit and try to make it a little bit more lighthearted, all right? So this whole thing is addressing another objection. I don't have time, okay? You do have the time. You're already spending time on Facebook, so you might as well take advantage of the time and make a full-time income while you're there. You have the time because you're already there, right? I'm not asking you to do anything different than you're already doing. You're already spending time on Facebook every day. All I'm asking you to do is do different stuff while you're there. That's all. So that addresses the time objection. You see how here I'm addressing an objection. Because the first objection that usually comes up is, I heard this before, right? Address it, close. No different than telephone, guys. Same exact thing. Second objection, not sure if I have the money. I don't know if I want to spend the $37 or the $47 on this. Well, you're going to spend it anyway. Objection, rebuttal, close. Okay? Now, the last one is, I don't know if I have the time. I don't know if I have a tight schedule, work a full-time job. Well, address it, bonus, close. And then we end it off. Okay? So, the last thing I'm going to show you here is, we already went through that. Last thing I'm going to show you here, this is kind of interesting, and I was kind of laughing a little bit while I was writing this and setting this up, and I didn't know if you guys were going to notice this. Some of you who are really on top of your game might have noticed this, but most people, this would go right over their heads. And that's okay, because I don't really expect you to know this stuff. But passing off the trust is the last minute bonus. And I purposely put this here because I was being a little bit of a jerk and I wanted to kind of just do it this way. Okay. If you haven't watched that video yet, watch it after this one. You'll understand what I'm talking about. But how to gain massive credibility in seconds, even if you're brand new. Passing off the trust basically is this. When I worked in the stock business, nobody knew who the firm was. I got licensed. I started off at a company called Stratton Oakmont. You might have heard of it. It was in Wolf of Wall Street was based off that. And also Boiler Room was loosely based off it as well. I wasn't licensed there, though. I was a cold caller. I was young. I was a quote-unquote intern. I got licensed at a company called Tassin & Company. They got shut down for a bad IPO. Then I went on to a company called Wedley Securities. They got shut down or closed down after 9/11. Then I went on to a company called Joseph Law. They went out of business as well. Then I moved into the mortgage business. So a lot of those companies outside of Joseph Law, those companies were not known. Like nobody knew who Tassim was. Nobody knew who Weatherly was. Very few people, right? Nobody knew who they were. So we had to somehow build credibility with our prospect very, very quickly. So what we would do is we would use our the bank that we were connected to. So our what we call a clearinghouse, right? So I forget the clearinghouse for Tassim, but the clearinghouse for Weatherly was UBS Payne Weber. Everybody knew who they were. So we would say things like, "This is Kenny from Weatherly Securities out in New York," and they would say, "Oh, I don't know who you are." "Oh, yeah, we're with UBS Payne Weber. They're our clearinghouse," and then we would go on, right? Or we would say it later on in the presentation. We would say it at some time, but at some point, we're passing off the trust and the credibility to another company that they know and they trust and they're with. This right here is why Amazon does so well. Actually, I should rephrase that. This is not why Amazon does so well. This is why the average idiot can go on Amazon. Like me, I can go on Amazon right now, import stuff from China, put it on Amazon, and sell it like crazy. Now, I don't know how to do that stuff, right? I don't know the technology behind it or whatever. But if I did know that and I knew how to actually put an Amazon listing up or whatever, I could do that. Why? Because I'm passing off the trust to Amazon. If I were to set up my own store, it would be a lot tougher. Because number one, yeah, I wouldn't have the audience, right? Obviously, Amazon is a huge audience. But people trust buying from Amazon, right? So it's easier for them to make the purchase because Amazon is a household name. They trust them. So if I could put my product on Amazon, whether it's a supplement or a fidget spinner or a gun cleaning kit or a fishing tool, whatever it is, if I could put my product on Amazon, it's going to sell better than if I put it in my own store. Just like something in the real world is going to sell better in Walmart than it would in a little shop on the side of the road because people trust the store. People trust the brand. People trust the name. And they have the audience. Okay? So that's what passing off the trust is. You could build massive credibility literally in seconds by saying something like, "And remember, you're 100% protected by our money back guarantee, but don't trust me. We don't know each other. You shouldn't trust me, but we process all of our payments through PayPal, and you and I both know they always side with the buyer. Click the buy button below and get started now." This bonus was used on you right here. And I bet 95% of the people that watched that video had no idea. This is what I'm doing right here. And I do it in every single sales video that I do, every single webinar that I do, because it works. And it's always the last one. For me, it's always the last one. Right? You can put these in different order, but for me, I always do that last. Because the thing that usually prevents people from going over the hump, as we call it, or going to the other side and going from no to yes. The thing that usually holds people up is not sure about the person yet. It's very easy to sell somebody on a product. It's very hard to sell somebody on you. It's difficult, right? And you have to sell them on yourself and the product. They have to believe in the product and they have to believe in the person behind the product or the company behind the product, okay? If they don't believe in one of those two things, they're not going to buy from you no matter how good you are, okay? So you have to make sure that you do that. Now, the way that you do that is you're either Amazon or Apple, right? Or whoever, Walmart, McDonald's, Dell, Ford, Honda. You're a company like that. You're a big household brand name. Or you use one of those household brand names to pass the trust and credibility off onto them and put it onto yourself by saying something like, "We process all of our payments through PayPal. You're 100% protected by them as well, and they always side with the buyer. You and I both know that. So buy now and get started seeing the members area." Okay? Very, very simple to do. All right, so if you have questions about this, let us know. You should. This is a long thing, and it's probably very, very new to you, and there's a lot going on here. But if you can get this, or you can even get 10 or 15% of it, you're going to see a massive increase in your conversion rates, or whatever you guys call them. Closing rates is what I call them. But you're going to see an increase in your closing rates and your conversions and all that stuff. All right, so let's go through the telephone script. Now, this could be used for a telephone. It could be used for an in-person meeting. It could be used for knocking on doors cold, any of that stuff. So we'll read through it first, and then I'll go through exactly what I'm saying, why I'm saying it, how I'm doing it. Okay, so, hey, this is Kenny from XYZ Marketing Company out of New York. Can you hear me okay? Why do I say, can you hear me okay? Everyone else says, how you doing? Right? 2 reasons why I don't say that. There's actually more than that, I think. The first reason is that everybody says it, and I want to stand out. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to stand out, right? So I'm not going to say that. That's number 1. Number 2, I understand that the person is either going to lie to me or they're going to be honest with me, right? Those are the only 2 choices, right? They're either going to lie to my face or they're going to tell me the truth. If they tell me the truth, 95% of people are going to say, it's a rough day, man. You know, I got this happening. I got this. The truck broke down here. I got this guy. I drank bad coffee this morning and I got a headache now. They're going to give me the whole life story about how miserable they are. If they tell me the truth, that's what's going to happen, right? If they lie to me, they're going to say, oh, great, man. How you doing? Or, great, what's up? I don't want to start the call off with a lie. So I don't say it. It's a bad question to ask. There's no good answer. There's no good answer. Either you're going to start off with miserable. They're not going to say that, but they're going to give you, they're going to give you hints. Or they're going to say, great, how are you? Or, great, what's up? And that's not true for most people. Right? Most people have a lot of problems. All right, and they're dealing with it every day. So I say, can you hear me okay? The reason why I say that again is because it's different. It's not going to start the conversation off with a lie. And the answer is always, yes, I can. What's up? They're being honest with you. They can hear you. It's non-confrontational. You're not going to get any bad news. And you just move on. All right? Can you hear me okay? Yes, I can. Great. The reason for the call is we help businesses generate more revenue from the internet. If you are selling SEO, say the same line. If you're selling rep management, say the same line. If you're doing website development, say the same line. If you're doing graphic design, same line. Selling advertising in the newspaper, same line. Billboards, same line. Anything that you guys do here, YouTube videos, Yelp stuff, that's the line you must use. You don't help businesses get better reviews on Yelp. You don't help businesses get to number 1 on Google in 30 days or less. You don't develop websites that turn traffic into paying customers. You don't do that. What you do is you help businesses generate more revenue from the internet. Period. Done. Do not change that line. Okay? I'm telling you right now, if you change that line, you're going to see a massive drop in your rates across the board. All right? What you do is you put money in there. Remember I said it before. You're selling money. That's what you're doing. You're selling money. And I don't want to get too far into detail with this because I have a whole different video that explains this in great detail that I'm going to give you guys. But really what you're selling is not money. What you're selling is experience and status. Money is the tool that people use to increase their experience in life and increase their status level. That's why people go from 100 grand to 150 grand. They go out and they remodel their house, or they buy a new BMW or whatever. They're not doing it because the BMW drives any better than the Honda Accord they were driving. They're doing it because they got a little bit extra money and they want to increase their lifestyle, right? They want to show off to their friends. They want to feel better about themselves, so they go out and do those things, okay? We sell based on money because money buys experience, money buys status, and that's what people are looking for. Just wanted to see if you had 5 minutes for me, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. That's got to change, so I could share an idea with you. We don't say so I could book an appointment with you. We don't say so that I can meet and go over what we do here. We say so I could share an idea with you. Tuesday or Wednesday, it depends on when you're going to call, right, or knock on a door. If you're knocking on a door on a Tuesday, you don't say that, obviously. You've got to use a little bit of common sense. We want to be very scripted with it on the telephone or in person, but we also have to use common sense. I just wanted to see if you had 5 minutes with me. The President of the United States has 5 minutes. Busiest guy on the planet. If it's important enough, he's got 5 minutes, right? If the guy from China calls, he's got 5 minutes. If the guy from Russia calls, he's got 5 minutes, right? If the guy from Canada calls, probably hang up on him. But if he's got, what I'm saying is if it's important, he's got 5 minutes. If he has 5 minutes, the roofer down the block has 5 minutes. All right? So you don't want to say, I just wanted to see if you had some time for me, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, so I could share an idea with you. That would be wrong. All right? How much time? I mean, I can't set aside an hour for you. How much time you want? Everybody has 5 minutes. Now, don't get tricked into believing that you're locked into that 5-minute time frame, because you're not. Once you book the appointment, you talk until you're done talking, right? Now, I'm not saying you're going to lie to the person, but usually what's going to happen is if you're good on the phone or in the meeting, they're going to want to talk to you for more than 5 minutes because your presentation is on point, right? If your presentation sucks, you're going to get thrown out in 5 minutes, or you're going to get hung up on in 5 minutes, or whatever. But if your presentation is on point, they're going to want to talk to you for much more than 5 minutes. Most of the time when I go to an appointment, I don't do this that often anymore. I have other people that book appointments for me. But if I go to an appointment, I'm there for 45 minutes, an hour and a half. That's why the bottom of this is so important. We'll get to that in a second. But this just tells them I'm not going to be there all day, right? I just want a couple minutes, and everybody's got a couple minutes, okay? So they're either going to say yes, no, whatever. If they say, I really can't go through objections here because that's, a whole different thing. But so I can share an idea with you. Let's just assume they're going to say yes to that. You're going to say, perfect, just a couple quick questions to make sure it's a good fit. This is the qualification stage. For me, some of these may have to change for you, right? But for me, it's, you're advertising on the internet right now, right? Yes. How's that going for you? Let them talk a little bit, see what they got to say, right? Sucks, it's great, whatever. Now, here's the question that I really want to hammer home. Okay, this is the most important one for me. If I was able to show you a way where you can get 20 or 30 new leads a week without having to invest more than $5 a day in ads, would you be willing to listen? Okay, not would you be interested in doing it, not would you, buy it now. Would you be willing to at least listen? And sometimes I'll say, I'm going to go through this in tone and in pace in a second, but sometimes I'll even say, like, would you be at least willing to hear me out for a few minutes if I was able to do that? Or if I was able to show you that? And so that bottom piece of that line could change a little bit, but the point is going to be the same. All right, most of the time they're going to say yes to that. If you got to that point, they're going to say yes to that for the most part. Great. What time would work for you on Tuesday? Again, common sense plays a role here. If they said Thursday up top, you don't say Tuesday on the bottom. It's got to be the same day. Sometime in the afternoon, sometime in the morning, whatever. And then you're going to book the appointment. Perfect. How's 2 p.m. on Tuesday? Now, there's two things we're going to do here. Number one, we're going to get the email. And number two, we're going to lock it down. We want the email because we're going to do what's called we're going to have an email sequence that goes out that kind of warms them up for the appointment. So, great. One last thing. Just so we're on the same page on Tuesday, I'm going to shoot you over a quick email about what we do, a little bit about our company. What's your email address? Don't freak out. All right? I know I keep saying that. I know the freak out points. I'm doing this for a long time. Don't freak out. What people do is they make a huge mistake here, and they say, great, one last thing. Just so we're on the same page on Tuesday, I'm going to shoot you over a quick email about what we do here and a little bit about my company. Never going to email you again. We're not going to spam you. We're not going to send you emails 5 times a day. We're only going to email this. We're only going to send you this one thing. So, if you have an email address, great. If not, I could just send it through the mail, or I could deliver it to you on Tuesday. You got an email address I can have? No, I don't want to do that. That's what's going to happen, right? And you see it in every industry in the world, right? Somebody will be in the mortgage business. They'll get through the whole application. What's the house worth? When did you buy it? What's your credit like? Blah, 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 whatever. Scale of 1 to 10, how's your credit? They'll say all these things. What's your annual income? Where do you work? How long have you been there? And all of a sudden they get to the social security number. And they're banging off these questions. Boom, 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 boom. And then they get to social security number and they start saying things like, we're going to rip it up the second you give it to us. We're not going to buy a car in your name. It's not fraudulent. If you don't want to give it to us, you don't have to. It's just for the bank purposes, qualification, blah, 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 blah. And the person's like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. You're giving them reasons to say no. Just ask the question. I get on the phone in a mortgage company. I'm training the people. I bang through the application and I just say, okay, what's your social security number? And they just give it to me. And they're like, wow, that's magic. No, it's not. I'm just asking the question. That's all. This is not magic either. If you just ask them what's your email address, they're going to give it to you. All right? And remember that, too, for other things. When you ask for payment, just ask for the payment. You want to pay a Visa or MasterCard? Visa. Okay, read off the numbers. Right? Or, we accept, we're going to, I'll send you over the invoice. What's your email address? Right? Or, pay with a credit card. Read off the numbers slowly or whatever. Just ask them. If you just ask them, they're going to answer it. If you give them reasons to not answer it, they're going to give you reasons to not answer it back. So don't be dumb about it. Just ask them the question. Then we're going to lock it down. Is there any reason why you wouldn't be able to make it on Tuesday at 3 p.m. or 2 p.m.? You see these the times or whatever are different. You got to change that as you go through it. But is there any reason why you wouldn't be able to make it on Tuesday at 3 o'clock. So there's a couple of responses that you're going to get here. Okay, and I'm going to tell you how to react to each one. The first response you're going to get, and it's just, I'm not telling you like this is the most common or whatever. I'm just giving you the three, right? The numbers, the percentages are going to vary. So the first response is going to be, nope, Tuesday at 3 is perfect. Good appointment. Sounds good. If anything comes up, let me know. If not, we'll talk Tuesday. Good, right? The second response is going to sound like this. Is there any reason why you wouldn't be able to make it on Tuesday at 3 p.m.? Well, change it. Right then and there, change it. Don't even listen to the next line. Doesn't matter, okay? If I say, is there any reason why you wouldn't be able to make it on Tuesday at 3 o'clock? And they're like, well, yeah. Done. When's a better day? Okay? The third response is going to be, is there any reason why you wouldn't be able to make it on Tuesday at 3 o'clock? No, Tuesday at 3 o'clock is perfect. I have something at 2:45, change it. I have something at 3:30, change it. Okay? Unless the answer is nope, good, you change the appointment. I want to make sure, and there's no way I'm going to be able to really find this out, but I want to be able to reasonably assume that I have, if I book an appointment on Tuesday at 3 o'clock, I want to be able to reasonably assume that I have from 2:30 to 5 o'clock with this person. That's the block that I want. I'm asking for 5 minutes, but I want that calendar to be a blank white sheet that entire afternoon when I book that appointment. If it's not going to be that way, I need to change the appointment. Now, if he says, no, 3 is fine, but I have a doctor's appointment at 4:30, I'm not going to, an hour and a half is fine, right? But if he says 3 is fine, but I have someone coming in at 3:30, he may show up a little bit early, so, as long as you're quick, we should be good. Change the appointment, all right? So that's the whole entire script. Let's go through it in the tone, as if I was going to do it on the telephone, so you understand. Because reading the words is going to help you, but it's going to help you a lot more if you understand how to say them. That's like 90% of the conversation, all right? If you just said, hey, this is Kenny from XYZ Marketing Company out in New York, can you hear me? Okay, great. The reason for the calls, we generate more revenue for businesses on the internet. That's not going to do you any good, all right? You got to make sure you say it the right way. So the opening line is very simple. The way that we say it is, the person answers the phone. Hey, this is Bob from Bob's Plumbing. Hey, Bob, this is Kenny from XYZ Marketing Company out in New York. Can you hear me okay? Just like that. Okay? The next line, he's going to say, yeah, I can hear you. What's up? Great. The reason for the call, Bob, we help. Screwed it up. Start over. Like I said, I don't read this pitch that much anymore. Great. I can hear you. Yeah, what's up? Okay, great. The reason for the call, Bob, is we help businesses generate more revenue from the internet. Just want to see if you had 5 minutes, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, so I could share an idea with you. Okay? So if you notice, what happens is, by the way, before I go into that, the word great is a transition word. So we're going to change the way that we talk when we see that word. So, hey, this is Kenny from XYZ Marketing Company out in New York. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, I can hear you. What's up? Great. The reason for the call, we help businesses generate more revenue from the internet. Just want to see if you had 5 minutes for me, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, so I could share an idea with you. All right, you notice how, can you hear me okay? Great. Change, right? Can you hear me okay? Great. The reason for the call, now I'm getting low and slow, right? So that word is a transition between the two tonal patterns and language patterns that I'm using there. You got to understand that. Now is another one. And by the way, are 3 words that you use in sales as well, because they help you get back on the paper. Where did we leave off? So I can share an idea with you. Okay, so he's going to say yes or no there. If he says no, I gotta rebut the objection right then and there. If he says yes, which we'll assume so we can get through the whole thing. If he says yes, I'm just going to say perfect. Now, another transition word, right? Great and now, the two you got to look for. So perfect. Now, just a couple quick questions to make sure it'll be a good fit. So it's perfect, greatest thing in the world. Now, transitioning, no big deal. Just a couple quick questions to make sure it'll be a good fit. I ask right away. I don't ask for permission. I ask. I say, perfect. Now, just a couple quick questions to make sure it'll be a good fit. You're advertising on the internet now, right? Yeah. Okay. So if he says yes, that's great. If he says no, he's not qualified, so I hang up on him. I don't hang up on him, but I say, okay, this is not going to work for you. Bye. Move on to somebody else. Says yes. How's that going for you? Tell me a little bit about it. He's going to say, well, we're trying a little of this, trying a little of that, whatever. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do kind of the same tone I said the reason for the call in. I'm going to say, how's it going? It's going good. We're advertising on Facebook a little bit. We're doing this, doing that, billboards, whatever. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, and if I was able to show you a way where you can get 20 or 30 new leads per week without having to invest more than $5 a day in ads, would you at least be willing to listen? Okay, let me say it again so you understand, because there's pauses, there's me kind of, it kind of sounds like I don't know what I'm saying, right? But I don't want to sound like I'm reading. I do want to read, but I don't want to sound like I'm reading. So I have to chop it up a little bit. So, and if I'm able to show you a way where you can get 20 or 30 new leads per week without having to invest more than $5 a day, let's say, in ads, would you at least be willing to listen? Just like that. Okay, now he's going to say yes or no. But most people, if you get to that point, they're going to say yes to you for the most part. Okay. Now, when they say yes, you're going to say, great. What time on Tuesday would work for you? Or what time for you on Tuesday would work? Or whatever. However you want to phrase that, you can. Whatever's easier for you to say. So, what time on Tuesday would work for you? 2 p.m. Okay, that's fine. Perfect. 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Okay, that part right there is, you have to word that. It's very hard to read that part because it depends on what they say, right? If I say, great, what time would work for you on Tuesday? And he just says, 1 is good. Well, then I don't have to say sometime in the afternoon or morning, right? I don't have to say perfect house 2, right? So it really depends on what they say, all right? After you get the time out of them, what you want to say is, great, one last thing. Just so we're on the same page on Tuesday, I'm going to shoot you over a quick email about what we do here and a little bit about my company. What's your best email address? Bob@gmail.com. Write it down. Awesome. Okay, now, Bob, is there any reason at all why you wouldn't be able to make it on Tuesday at 3 o'clock? Nope. I'll be there. Sounds good. If anything comes up, let me know. If not, we'll talk Tuesday. All right. We already went over how to get the 3 responses to that question, so I'm not going to do it again. But that's basically how the pitch is done. You can use this knocking on doors. It's the same thing, right? The only difference with knocking on doors is you want to acknowledge the awkwardness right away. That's the one thing when you knock on a door. So if you bang on a door, boom, 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 right? You bang on a door. The first thing you want to say to somebody is, you don't know who I am, right? Like I'm barging into your day. You don't know me. Let's just get the elephant out of the room right away, right? You don't know me. Sorry to barge in. You don't know who I am. I don't know you. The reason why I'm here is this. Or you could say, my name is Kenny. I'm from XYZ Marketing Company. The reason why I'm stopping by today is we help businesses generate more revenue from the internet. Just want to see if you had 5 minutes or maybe Tuesday or Wednesday to share an idea with you. It's the same exact process. The only difference is in the beginning, you're going to say to them, sorry to barge in. You don't know me. I don't know you. I get it. It's weird, right? Sometimes I'll say that. Sometimes I'll say, I get it. It's weird. Like, we don't know each other. That's cool. But my name is Kenny. I'm from XYZ Marketing Company. The reason why I'm here is because we help businesses generate more revenue from the internet. Just want to see if you had a couple minutes to share an idea with you maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay, that's the whole entire thing. And then you go from there. All right. Now, I've had people do this, so I have to say it. I have to make sure that we're on the same page here. I got to say it. I want you to dial and read. If you're going to use the phone, I want you to dial and read, which means you're going to dial the phone and you're going to read these words. Okay? My name is Kenny. Yours isn't. XYZ Marketing Company is a name that I use in every script that I've ever written in my entire life. It's a fake name. I just use it because it's there, right? I've been using it forever. I have had people that I have trained so quote unquote well, I guess you could say, that they've dialed and read so much and they've been indoctrinated on dialing and reading that their pitch is, hey, this is Kenny from XYZ Marketing Company out in New York. Can you hear me? Okay, great. The reason for the call is we help businesses generate more revenue from the internet. They say my name in the fake company. And I've listened to calls where that has happened. A lot, actually. Right? And I've had people come to me after 100 calls saying, I'm having a tough time today. I'm not getting any appointments. And I listen to their calls, and they're saying my name with a fake company. I'm like, dude, yeah, I don't ask for a lot of common sense, but 2 or 3% of the average human common sense level would work just fine. That's not your name, and that's not the company. Use your name and use the company name. Stop being a moron and read the rest of it, right? So make sure you do that. Use your name and your company name. All right. I know it sounds stupid, but when you go through this stuff and all you're told all day for 20 years of your life is dial, read, dial, read, dial, read, dial, read, dial, read, you get to a point where you literally just dial and read. You say, great, what time works for you on Tuesday, when the guy said Monday in the third line of the thing, right? So a little bit of common sense, change what needs to be changed, go on the fly when you need to go on the fly, but make sure the structure of the pitch stays the same. We're going to introduce ourselves. We're going to open it up. We're going to give them the reason why we're calling. We're going to ask them for a little commitment, 5 minutes of your time, so you can share an idea with you. We're going to qualify through questions. We're going to lock down the appointment. We're going to get the email address. We're going to hang up the phone. This call should take no more than 1 minute and 30 seconds. This is not a 15-minute call. This is not an hour-long call. All right? This is a minute and 90-second call. 1 minute and 30 seconds. No more. All right? Sales psychology. That's not it. That's not all of it. That's a good intro to it, though. It's a good start. I'd watch this video 2, 3, 4 times. I know it's long, but it's a lot of information here. Watch this video 2, 3, 4 times and try to pick out the parts that really resonate with you. If you, like I said, before, I think it was something towards the beginning. If you could just grasp like 10% of what you just learned over the past, let's see how long this was, hour and 30 minutes now, hour and 35 minutes. If you could just grasp 10% of what you just learned in the hour and 35 minutes, you're going to be, the change that you'll see will be massive. Just do passing off the trust. That one thing will blow your income up like crazy. Just that one thing. Just learn how, where the hell did I put it? Just learn how to stack right in a sales video or in a presentation. Just learn how to stack right. That one thing, blow up your income like crazy. Just understand what the objection is going to be before it comes up. I know they're going to ask about money here. I know it. They can't say it to me. It's a video, right? But I know that's what they're thinking, because I've done thousands of these, not thousands of videos, but I've done over 100 sales videos. I've sold to over 100,000 people, on the internet. I know what they're thinking here. I know exactly what they're thinking here. Okay, so the better you know the audience, the better off you're going to be able to sell to them. If I'm wrong, right? Use that. I use it in the stock business, in the car business, in the mortgage business, in the consulting business, internet marketing business, publishing, everything that you can imagine. Because I know they're thinking. I hear this all the time, saying the same thing everybody else is. How is he different from everybody else? What if he's wrong? What if it's not right? What if it doesn't work? Well, let's say I am. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe everything I said was a lie. What's the worst thing that could happen? Right? It's one of my favorite stock closes in the world. Multi-millionaire investing 10 grand to open up an account on 100 shares of a stock. What's the worst that could happen? We have a stop loss at it. The stock is trading at $10. We're going to get in. Our analysts are telling me it's going to go up to $12, $13 in the next month or so. You can't say any of that stuff. It's illegal. But that's the point I was getting across. Right? So our analysts are telling us it's going to go up to 10. It's trading at 10 right now. It's going to go up to $12, $13 in the next 3 or 4 weeks. We're going to put a stop loss at $8. What's the worst that can happen? You're buying 100 shares of stock. What's the worst that can happen? You'll lose $200? No, come on. Either you're lying to me and you're worth nothing, or I don't know what the other option is. You can't be afraid to lose $200, right? So what's the worst that can happen? Let's say everything I say goes wrong. You lose $200. But if I'm right, now you have a relationship that can make you money whenever you want. So basically what we're trying to do here is we're trying to show them that the negative is 0 or close to it, and the positive, even though they may think the percentage of it being positive is slim, the positive is so big that they're willing to take that slim chance to, go with it. All right? We'll end it there. That is it. If you have any questions about this, let me know. If not, we'll see you in the next video.